Hey everybody, this is Andy Wheelock from the Coffee with the Geek show again. This is our second interview of the day, and the reason being NYSCATE conference is coming up in November, and I wanted to be able to talk to some of the movers and shakers of the NYSCATE conference and the people that are doing some special events, so we can kind of promote it, and I hope that people will come and join us. With me today is Antonio Scordo, and I know Antonio, or Tony. I've worked with him at the CSLO staff here at the WiniRIC, so he's a fellow staff developer, tech integration specialist. And Tony's been there 13 years. Some of his, I guess, focuses is tech tools for early literacy, podcasting, SketchUp, video editing, Audacity, and programming for kids. Great programs like Scratch, Kodu, Small Basic. I know Tony was at the ISTE conference a couple of years ago doing Kodu.
Yes.
And Tony's kind of recent passion has been Minecraft, and hopefully we'll be able to tap into a little bit of his brain about what's going on with Minecraft, because I think that's pretty exciting. But I want to talk a little bit about, really, and get started with NYSCATE. Tony is going to be he's part of the conference planning committee, and Tony, I think, has always had a kind of mind and passion for doing kind of creative and creating workshops, and so the maker movement, I think, was a really nice extension and logically flowed right to Tony's doorstep. So Tony, thanks for coming, and can you maybe start off with just telling everyone what a kind of Maker Faire is, or what really even the maker movement is all about? And thanks for being here.
Well, actually, those are very big questions. The maker movement is really just the idea and concept that everyone is a creator. Whether you're creating things digitally or whether you're actually out there welding or sewing or knitting, you are able to create and make things with your own hands. A Maker Faire is a celebration of this. Many people, especially with the advent of the desktop components that make manufacturing in your backyard easy, or through a makerspace much easier than it used to be, where you can print your own plastic models and use CNC machines to have very elaborate things cut out. The Maker Faire is a celebration of this. It gives the person that doesn't usually have a venue or an avenue to show their creative side a place to go, share their passions, maybe have some hands-on demonstrations and let people tinker and interact. It's a place to share their different knowledge, the different ideas that everyone comes to the table with. I mean, we have everything at this Maker Faire, from urban beekeepers that have developed a bicycle-pedaled honey extractor, to knitters and sewers and crafters, hand looms to machine looms, to the physics bus. We're actually going to have a full bus pull right into the back hallway of the convention center, that they've retrofitted a bus to be a hands-on student activity physics center on wheels. To the tallest toothpick structure in the world will be there. Cornell Space Systems will have their exhibits. RIT, University of Rochester, Rochester Museum and Science Center, First Robotics, you name it, we have it. Just about some sort of representation. We even have a young maker who's going to be there showing off everything that you can make with duct tape. He's made with duct tape.
Love it.
It's just really a celebration of all of that put together.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like fun. You know, the F word in education is. I think I know the answer to this, and I know you could hit it out of the park. But how does that fun translate to learning?
Well, I'll tell you, and it kind of answers one of your probably another question I get asked is, how did I get involved in the Maker Faire in the first place? Back in March, well, actually, it started last year at NYSCATE conference, where I came across that book, the Learning or Invent to Learn. It's a great book. I suggest every educator take a look at it. And I kind of became aware of the maker movement through that book. and I did an interview with you at NYSCATE last year where I was going to have the Geek Christmas, which had different effects than what I thought it was going to, but it did turn out fairly nicely overall. But in March, we found out about the Buffalo Mini Maker Faire that was at the Buffalo Science Museum. They had 55 makers at that one, and I took my family up to it just to see the look on my daughter's face when they saw their first ever 3D printer. They just stood there transfixed and fascinated while they watched this bracelet being created out of thin air, to taking them over to another booth where they saw a laser cutter printer that was actually etching and cutting out rulers that they could take home. And at the fair, my daughter saw a young maker group that had done their version of an art bot, where it was basically a plastic cup with a motor on top with a cork to have it off balance, and 3 markers on it. And as it walked along the table, it left marker marks on the paper, so they had their little design. Well, a little bit later, after the fair, back home, my daughter in 2nd grade was given a project. They were doing a unit on recycling. They had to draw a design of what they were going to create. So they had to do the design. They had to list the materials that they were going to use, list the steps that they were going to do to make it. After they made it, they had to make a presentation on it, so they had to put together an oral presentation. But one of the things that was neat was that they weren't allowed to make it at home. They had to bring all the materials to school, and they made it at school themselves. So what did she do? She wanted to make an art bot. We didn't have the same supplies, so we had looked at some other books. We found one, The Art of Tinkering by Exploratorium, and she saw one in there that was a variation on it, and that used a toothbrush motor. So I showed her how to take the motor out of a old-fashioned vibrating toothbrush, and then I put it back in and let her do it a couple of times. So when she went to school, she took a toothbrush, a fruit basket, that you just get your quart of apples or tomatoes or whatever in at the store, some markers and some hot glue, and she put that together at school, and then she added her own little touches with feathers and tape and gave it a tail and all these other things. But what she saw at the fair turned into actual learning, and it became a whole project as part of this recycling unit. Everything was made out of recycled materials. So we can see how that joy of creating can actually end up being, and if you look at the common core elements, there's not only the design, but they had to write about what their project was going to be and why they decided to make it. They had to do an oral presentation. We're hitting ELA common core all through that presentation, not to mention a lot of the next generation. Your lights turned off. Ours do that too.
Sorry. Trying to be subtly waving, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But seeing that, you know, and I had even done a project with my kids where we made some coffee bots out of coffee cans and an Arduino board, which was a lot of work, but the kids had a great time with it in my home life. So that's the learning aspect of it. How it got to become the Rochester Mini Maker Faire is I was at the NYSCATE Digital Wave Conference in March or April. I think it was March, just a few weeks after that, and was talking to Dr. Amy Perry DeCorvo about the experience there. And she said, well, how would you like to bring one of those to NYSCATE the day before? And before my brain could react, my mouth said yes. And then I walked down the hall and hyperventilated. And had a panic attack. But after that, things have gotten really good. I've got some great chair people helping me. Dan Schneiderman, who works at the University of Rochester, came on early in July as a co-chair. He's been the face of it up there, going to all the maker events. I've been doing a lot of the backbone stuff, getting the forms and things filled out with Make. When they email us, sending email replies back, placing the makers on the venue, coming up with the list and those types of things. and he's been the one doing a lot of the recruiting. So he's been a great help. And then we have a third co-chair that's coming, that just came on board a little bit ago, and she's going to take over the responsibilities of coordinating the volunteers. Just simply, when we looked at how to coordinate them with everything else that we were trying to balance, we needed a third person to take over doing that.
So, who's that?
Lori Yeager from Mulrick.
Okay.
The three of us are there. We've had a lot of help early on. I had some help with finding Dan Schneiderman from the president of the Rochester Makerspace, which as much work as they've done to help us and providing their makerspace for us to have meetings in, they're coming in as a community sponsor. His name is Rob Roll. He's been a tremendous help all along, especially when I was just getting things started.
So Tony, let me just interrupt here for a sec. So people can get started. You don't have to go to the NYSCATE conference per se. You can just get tickets on your own, right? And this would be perfect for parents as well. It doesn't have to be educators, right?
Right. Oh, well, it shouldn't be just educators. This is a family event, and I can't stress that enough. I can't wait for my kids to go there. In fact, they've been one of the biggest pests as far as they wanting to see the lists of who's going to be there so they can read through it and circle the ones that they really want to get to first. Because I doubt you'd have time to see everyone there. We have 95 makers going to be at the fair. Now, that is providing no one cancels on us. But currently, 77 are non-commercial booths. That means they're just ones that are there to share their passion, their knowledge, and what they do in design, hands-on activities. And we have 18 that are commercial makers, and they may still have interactive activities, but they're really there to sell their wares. So bring money. There's food at the venue as well. We have the entire floor, the first floor of the Rochester River. Not to the point where there's not enough room to enjoy things. We've given spaces. For example, one of them, takeitapart.com, I've given them a double-sized booth so that they have time to and space for the kids to be able to take items apart, and that's usually a really popular one. Kids get to take apart old VCRs and whatever electronic gadgets they happen to bring with them before they recycle them. So there's a lot of room to move, but there's also a lot there to see.
You know, it's really neat because I just talked to Andrea Tejedor about the startup weekend, which is, you know, innovators trying to push their ideas, and then we've also got this Maker Faire, which is young kids just, you know, exploring and taking things apart and putting things back together and learning how motors work. And those two are really nice, I think, kind of companions to see how that all works. This creation, this play, this you know, even taking apart, putting back together in different ways, all lends itself to the future of what, you know, we do, and you know, coding and, you know, creating and innovating and creating new technologies. So I think, you know, if you talk about college and career ready, this is the perfect example of letting kids do that in a fun environment, and I think a family fun environment.
Yeah, and the nice thing is it shows that no matter what your gender is, what your age is, that be a lifelong endeavor. It's not just exhibits by kids here. We have adults and senior citizens and everyone in between there at the fair to express and to share, to learn. The only thing I'm not thrilled with is I have to work it. I'd rather be enjoying it all, but I'm extremely excited about having this come. Having 95 makers there our first year, it's a huge event. Now the ticket prices are family friendly. The early bird tickets are available until November 1st. It's $20 for a family, which gives you, in most families they have 2 adults and 2 kids. We're really family focused. It's 2 adults and 3 kids. If your kids are under 4, they're free, or 4 and under are free. So the and the kids tickets in the Family Pass are from ages 5 to 18. So you can really bring your whole family. November 1st, the prices go up a little bit to $30 for the Family Pass, and at the door they're $45. Simply because we really want to encourage the online purchases, because it helps us to give our vendors and our makers numbers, because a lot of them supply materials out of their own pocket, just so that they know how much to buy so that they don't run out. Individual tickets are $5 online. For the early bird, $7 for the advanced tickets, and they go up to $12 at the door. So even at the door prices, we're less expensive than many of the other events that we've seen comparable to this out there.
So, do you see this as an extension, maybe to get into schools? I mean, is this something we can bring to schools? Because all of this, I think, creativity and fun, are you seeing it trickling down to schools, and do you see that as a long-term, potential for schools?
It is definitely a long-term potential for schools. We have to remember that when we encourage design and engineering in schools, we are encouraging the spirit of making and creating. And the next generation science standards that have not been adopted by New York State yet, hopefully they will be someday, they go and bring in the elements of design as early as second grade or first grade here. So it's a different mindset in that when you embrace the maker movement and embrace making in your classroom, you may give the elements of what they're supposed to learn, but you might have to accept the fact that if you're going to have kids make carrots because they read a book about rabbits, for example, that you might have 26 very different interpretations of what a carrot should look like, rather than everyone uses the same mold, the same trace, and cuts it out and colors the same things. The maker movement embraces that individuality in it. There's makered.org has a lot of resources for those teachers that are wanting to get more involved. They've gotten some sponsorship from Intel, and in the resources section there's an article about the 8 elements of a great maker project, a maker ed project, and the article lists everything that it should have, and if you can't see the common core through this, you have to get new glasses, because it's just all there, everything all wrapped up into one type of project.
Okay, I know we could probably spend a whole nother segment on this next topic, and maybe we will. Maybe if I can catch you at NYSCATE, we can pick your brain a little bit more. But tell us, you've been doing some Minecraft stuff and working with Minecraft EDU, and I know you're putting together a pilot to do that. How does Minecraft and the maker movement connect, or don't they, or do they?
Oh, well, definitely they do. Because I've heard this phrase before, and if I could remember who coined it, I'd give them credit for it. But the phrase is essentially that Minecraft is this generation's Legos. In the creative mode, they have access to hundreds of thousands of different ways that they can put the blocks together, if not millions of ways that they can put the blocks together. The world can be randomly generated or seeded with a code that would create the same world each time, or just randomly generate a world that is much, much larger than our own if you were to actually transpose the spaces. When kids have the freedom to create whatever they want to, I've seen students replicate from birds that have replicas of the Hunger Games, and actually play like Hunger Games, to people that modify it and turn it into a role-playing game. It really lets kids have that same freedom virtually that the maker movement embraces. So I really don't see how it is not related to the maker movement at all. And there's something to that element of freedom. I mean, it's a game that has no rules. There's no clear objectives. Even if you play it in survival mode, the objective is to survive. You do have to grow your own food, build your shelter and everything, but there's no quests. It's just really what you call a sandbox game that has total and complete freedom about what you want to do. It's one of the biggest games out there. It's sold over 55 million copies. Microsoft's just spent $2.5 billion acquiring it, supposedly according to their CEO, to use it as a stepping stone into STEM education, which is going to be interesting how that evolves. But Minecraft EDU is definitely an extension, as it provides teachers a set of tools for working with it in the classroom, such as being able to assign homework through there, to be able to chat instantly with students, to be able to freeze the entire class, to pull their attention back on you as the teacher to the front of the room, to teleporting them to you, to teleporting to them, to giving them bricks and rewards, giving them places where they're allowed to build and not allowed to build. It really makes it a much more engaging environment for a teacher to work with. So it'll be interesting that once the pilot program gets off and running here, to see how it evolves and takes shape.
I think those are really up-and-coming projects, and I think they're just getting to the point they're on schools' radars. So I think the work you're doing and the work of others getting Minecraft out there, I think is trend-setting. I think we're hopefully going to make some headway down to schools. What about your goal as far as NYSCATE? I know you'll be very busy at the beginning of NYSCATE. Are you presenting at NYSCATE, and what are you looking to see at NYSCATE this year?
I'm actually doing a 1-hour session on Minecraft EDU in the classroom. And in addition to that, we do have a little maker area that the BOCES, Erie 2, Erie 1, CA BOCES have come together to create a maker area that's going to have a lot of different interactive displays. I believe we're going to be down by where the food court usually is. I can't remember the name of that area down there right now. Back where all the windows kind of go on a big curve. We're going to be down there. I'm going to have Robot Turtles, which is a board game to teach coding concepts to children in preschool, to kindergarten, all the way up to possibly 2nd grade. It's a really good board game. I'll have a couple of copies of that for people to try out, and I'll also have a laptop set up with Minecraft on it, with Minecraft EDU, if anybody wants to sit down and tinker with that and see what it looks like. So I'll have those. There's a lot of other exhibits going to be in that presentation as well.
Awesome.
That's
well,
just
that sounds like something I definitely want to go see. You ready for your Speed Geek questions?
Oh, sure.
You get 3 Speed Geek questions, and I've got my little app called, I always forget the name of it. It's Decide Now. That's the name of the app. It's just a little spinning wheel. I know you probably can't see it. But your first one is perfect for you. It's what's your favorite comic book hero?
Captain America.
All right. I'm a Captain America fan too.
Followed by Spider-Man.
Okay. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Both.
Come on, you don't have a favorite?
Both.
Okay. You're a true geek, I think. At least spin the dial. Here's your third question. Oh, geez, we got favorite comic book hero again. And your first storage device. So floppy drive, cassette. What was your first?
A floppy drive.
5? The 3.5?
Oh yeah, five. If you count when I was in school and we had the old Apple IIe, you had to take that floppy drive, put it in, take the rabbit, go get the carrot, and do your math problem to get the carrot, whatever that game is. But yeah.
All right, well that's pretty good. I've got you beat. I started out with cassette, so that was put a cassette in and wait 20 minutes and do a simple program. But
I was aware that cassettes existed, but we never had that attention for our Intellivision.
you're lucky. You're lucky. Boy, you learn patience.
In that sense, my first one's cartridges, because the video game systems I had at home as a kid, Intellivision, that had a cartridge. You stuck the cartridge in and play your game. So that would be even earlier than the 5 1/4. Well, maybe. No, they're about the same generation. I got the video game system at home about the same time we hit those at school. I don't remember much from those years. I blocked a lot of that.
All right. Well, on that note, Tony, thanks. We're going to see you at NYSCATE. I'm looking forward to it. And everyone go see the Mini Maker Faire. It's going to be really awesome. Bring your family.
Yeah, bring your family. Bring your family. Have a great time.
Thanks, Tony.